Happy Monday, everybody. We are back together here with another video. And Star Wars Celebration was going on in England. I don't know if it's even over with, to tell you the truth.
No.
I really haven't followed it that much.
Yeah. And Star Wars Celebration will be in Japan on April 2025. Well,
That's 2 years from now then.
yeah, it's on collider.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't really matter where it's at. Star Wars has some serious problems here. Now, the trailer for Ahsoka dropped. You saw that, right?
Yes.
Now, I like the way that trailer actually looks, but keep in mind, it's just a trailer. We will have to see if it's good. Now, out of all the stuff they announced, this actually looks the best.
Yes. The first, like when I first saw it, I mean, I like it. But in the beginning, I thought like the trailer was all female.
It's not, and honestly, if to actually enjoy Ahsoka, you're gonna have to watch Star Wars Rebels. Mm-hmm. And Rebels ended. It seemed like forever ago. And if you did not watch Rebels, you may be confused because that directly ties to Rebels. Essentially, it is I think there was 4 seasons of Rebels. This is essentially Rebels season 5, really. Except with a huge time jump because Rebels actually ended right before the original trilogy. And now this is in the same time frame in The Mandalorian, because if you go back to season 2 of The Mandalorian, remember Ahsoka was in there.
Yeah.
And she was actually asking about Thrawn. So you need to watch, not necessarily that episode, because it doesn't really tell you much, I believe, as far as the show goes. Mm-hmm. But you're really going to have to watch Star Wars Rebels to actually get this show.
Yeah, I kind of don't get it, but it looks good.
It looks good.
Wondering who is in charge of the...
Actually, it's Dave Filoni.
Okay.
Anytime Ahsoka is involved, it's actually Dave Filoni.
So Kennedy...
She's executive producer, but I guess that kind of ties into Mandalorian season 3. Mando season 3, the ratings have tanked on it, and it's so bad. It's so bad. This is a Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni production, but this season it definitely seems more like Kathleen Kennedy had a lot more control than in the first 2 seasons, because this season is god awful. I don't even know who this season is really full Book of Boba Fett, which was terrible. Mm-hmm. So, man, I don't know. I'm because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are involved in this. I'm not going to give them a pass on this. If Ahsoka is anything like Obi-Wan Kenobi, if it's anything like Mandalorian season 3, boy.
I don't know. On the news in Bouncing into Comics, it say Kennedy spin new narrative for Star Wars quality is always everything. So I hope it will be
she's talking
good.
about the quality. What did she say? The quality is everything?
Yeah,
Or
it's always everything.
obviously not.
No,
Look
but
at the Last Jedi and look at the Rise of Palpatine.
yeah.
How bad those movies were. And people actually fell for fool's gold when it came to The Force Awakens, which was nothing more than a bad rehash of the original Star Wars movie. No originality. I didn't fall for it. But quality is everything? Come on. No.
Don't you think she will have a change of heart or something?
No, I don't think she can change. Now, for one thing, George Lucas. This is from George Lucas's own mouth about what Star Wars is. He says that Star Wars is about fathers and sons. Mm-hmm. Do you think Kathleen Kennedy is going to go for fathers and sons anymore? That sequel trilogy had really nothing to do with Luke. Luke didn't even really play a role in it, really, except for being a grumpy old man in the middle movie. He had one scene in the first movie of the sequel, and in the last Rise of Palpatine movie, he was in it for like 5 minutes. It was terrible. She is not honoring George Lucas's creation at all.
No, she's not.
Now, I was watching a couple of YouTube videos though, and Dave Filoni said that George Lucas was actually on the set a few times for Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. Of course, he created Clone Wars where Ahsoka actually shows up. And he also talked a lot with Timothy Zahn about Thrawn, who actually created Thrawn for the expanded universe. He created Grand Admiral Thrawn. So take that for what it is, but I would not get my hopes up on Ahsoka because of the people that are still running Lucasfilm. It looks good. I even talked to Rhodes about this. He said, yeah, it looks good. He's like, I don't want to get my hopes up because what they have done already in the past.
Well, I will have more faith in the series if Disney bring George Lucas back.
No, they don't want him back. They don't want him back. Anytime they say they talk to George, it's pretty clear that they don't take his advice.
No, but I just don't understand why Disney is still making new series when like the rating is just dropped.
Well, they haven't put a movie in the movie theater since the rise of Palpatine.
No, but
and they're desperate to get into the movie business again. But the thing is, they've announced other movies in the past, and all of them have been canceled. Now, one thing that really, really does concern me that I think a lot of people aren't going to like, and this movie is dead on arrival, that Daisy Ridley Star Wars movie that they announced about her rebuilding the Jedi Order. That movie's going to bomb. People really don't like Rey at all.
I thought it would be like Luke.
That's what they should have did, but they didn't want to do it. So essentially, they destroyed the original trilogy. Anakin being the chosen one, Luke redeeming his father, but yet he wanted to assassinate his nephew. Luke fails to rebuild the Jedi Order, and now all of a sudden, they're gonna make a movie about Rey, 15 years after the rise of Palpatine, rebuilding the Jedi Order. And guess what? I bet you she actually succeeds in rebuilding it. They're not going to let her fail. And if they do let her fail, it'll just be kind of like rehashing, kind of what they already did to Luke. Mm-hmm. They let Luke fail. You think they're going to let her fail? There's no way. Now, we don't have any time frame, I believe, when this movie is actually going to come out. Dave Filoni also is making a movie in the Mandoverse also as well. Mm-hmm. That's going to combine like Boba Fett, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka. So it may be like this all-in-one type of movie. But what are the odds of all these movies actually happening? That's the thing. Because Lucasfilm has actually proved that they don't have a plan for anything. They can't stick to everything. Anytime they announce something, they just drop it. And this show right here, The Acolyte takes place before, I believe, like 100 years or so before The Phantom Menace, before episode 1. This TV show, I think, is going to bomb. Now, in theory, the idea behind the show is good. As in, how did the Jedi not actually know that these Sith were actually right underneath their nose? How did they not know? That's a good idea in theory. But Leslie Headland, that's a problem. Kathleen Kennedy, that's a problem. This is a TV show that's going to go full-blown woke. Right here. Look at this statement right here. This is from one of the actors here. The Acolyte actor Charlie Barnett says, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. Depends on what side you're standing on. What? I mean, really? There's no good and no evil. I'm sorry. Did he not watch Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith? Anakin slaughtered younglings. Was he being good?
No.
Emperor Palpatine. He was the puppet master behind all of this. Killed a whole bunch of people. He destroyed a whole planet. Vader, Tarkin, blew up Alderaan. Were they good?
No.
No. Luke Skywalker. He was the hero of the original trilogy, the good farm boy. Wasn't he good? He wasn't bad, was he?
No.
No.
He's good.
So I don't know what this dude is talking about right here. Now, this is him right here in this picture right there. I don't know who he is. But this is his words right here. He said, Barnett responded. Actually, let me go back here because I believe it gives a little bit more context here. It says here, Barnett took to the stage of Star Wars Celebration with his co-stars, Daphne King and Manny Jacinto, where the three had a brief discussion about the show, with Barnett revealing he plays a Jedi Knight and that the series is set towards the tail end of Lucasfilm's High Republic era, which nobody cares about. As that time on the stage began to wrap up, the trio were asked to describe the Acolyte in less than 5 words. Barnett says, I would say a battle for power. He then continued, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you are standing on, truly. He explained, you can look at any angle and see yourself relayed through all the characters, Darth Vader to Luke. You know what I'm saying. Barnett then went on to provide more details on how the Acolyte reshaped Star Wars. Quote, this show is truly about the balance of power and the balance of good versus evil, and realizing so much of it starts at the root, truly. Yeah. This man said there's no good or evil. Palpatine was just pure evil.
Yeah, he's behind everything.
Yeah. I'm not optimistic about the stuff that they have. Ahsoka looks like probably the only decent thing. But hey, we thought, me and Rhodes actually talked about this. We actually thought that the Obi-Wan show was going to be good. We thought that was a layup. And they messed that up. They messed up Obi-Wan. If they can mess up that show, Obi-Wan, Vader, there's no doubt about it that they can actually mess up Ahsoka and all this other stuff.
Not as a Star Wars fan, just passive.
You're a passive Star Wars fan.
When I watch Star Wars, it's more about like good versus evil, and how Luke bring, his father back to the good side, So at the end, it's the New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Luke refused to kill his father, and
that's Return Jedi.
Yeah, the Return of the Jedi, and at the end, Darth Vader.
He was redeemed.
Yeah, redeemed.
Yeah, but remember, even in New Hope, when Luke and Obi-Wan were this was actually Return of the Jedi. When Luke had already found out that Vader was his father, and Obi-Wan, sitting there as a Force ghost, says, he's more machine now than man, twisted and evil. Mm-hmm. That's what he said, evil.
Yes.
He's a bad guy. That he did get redeemed, but he was a bad guy.
Yeah, he was.
So, I don't know, man. I don't have hope for much of the stuff they're putting out. This Acolyte show seems dead on arrival.
I have a question. Since they put out, new TV show and stuff, in order to, they want to make money. What is the point of putting out this kind of shows? And the rating is bad and not bringing George Lucas back. They just go.
Well, George Lucas doesn't even want to be involved anymore. But they're doing this because one thing, they want money. But this show, This show would be dead if they put it out on the screen. I believe it'll fail like Solo did in a theater.
Yeah.
The Acolyte.
Don't you think, like, okay, when,
Josh... Now, let me say this. The Obi-Wan show was actually supposed to be a movie.
Oh.
It was supposed to be a movie, and then apparently when Solo lost all that money, they decided to just put it on Disney Plus. Oh. I believe that was the backstory on that.
But don't you think that, okay, when George Lucas, sold, his character and everything to Disney, and if Disney keep their promise where like George Lucas will be involved and have this all new, TV series and movie, don't you think Disney will be better off with George Lucas?
They'd be much better off with George Lucas. There's no doubt about it. The only reason why Kathleen Kennedy, George Lucas even made her president, is because when he had his treatments for 7, 8, 9, he actually thought that she would actually respect what his scripts that he had and do something with it. And he was betrayed. They did nothing with it. They threw it in the trash. And Bob Iger got him. Bob Iger is the one that really forced George Lucas into selling. He was planting that seed into George Lucas because they had already known each other. And in Bob Iger's book, he said, yeah, I wanted to buy Lucasfilm from George Lucas. And George Lucas at the time wasn't intended on selling. And then eventually he said, you know what, I'm getting old, because George was like 67 or so at the time. 67, I believe, at the time. And then eventually he said, yeah, I'm getting old. I have a company. I have employees. And of course, he didn't want to shut down the company. I understand that. But if George can actually go back to himself in 2012, I'm willing to bet George would say, younger George, don't sell it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet he would actually say that. I mean, George, I wish that his kids probably could have taken it on, but George likes things done a certain way. Mm-hmm. And there's no way in the world that Disney was going to allow him that power. Now, George directed, out of the original trilogy, he directed one movie, the first one. Mm-hmm. Empire Strikes Back, he didn't direct that movie, but everybody said when George was on the set, George got his way. He did whatever. He was always on the set, even on Return of the Jedi. He didn't direct it, but George was on the set. George got his way.
Well, of course. I mean, like, he created all the character and, his story. I mean, it just feel like how important all this thing is to him,
Yeah, because the Lucasfilm, you got to realize, the Lucasfilm was not a corporate company before it got sold to Disney. It was a private, independent film company. George was pretty much anti-Hollywood establishment. Mm-hmm. He didn't like the mega corporations and stuff. He wanted to control everything. And it worked out for him. But then he sold it to the beast. And now I guess he understands how corporate Hollywood works. And that's why he's never been a fan of that. All these films were independent movies.
Yeah. Don't you think if George Lucas is still in charge, what's her name? Gina Carano would not get fired?
Well, one thing, I don't think The Mandalorian would even be made.
Well,
you got to remember, this is Disney stuff that they made up. George would have went in a different direction.
You think so?
Yeah, George was actually had already made and written like 100 episodes for Star Wars Underground, which was somewhat probably what The Mandalorian was. Mm-hmm. But he already had written 100 episodes. And the footage came out, looks pretty cool. Disney, they didn't do nothing with it. So, but I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. I mean, we've been going, almost 20 minutes now already. Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Well, guys, we'll be back on a Wednesday with another video. Until then, you guys be safe.
Goodbye.